So a year or two ago, I took a couple of breaks from my YouTube channel. A couple of weeks turned into a couple months, and then the next thing I knew, I had basically retired. Oop, clap. Fuck. So a year or two ago, I took a little break from my YouTube channel, and a couple of weeks turned into a couple months, and then the next thing I knew, I basically had retired without really meaning to, and without ever saying that much about it. And I don't know if any of the folks who were viewers back in the tiny little heyday of my tiny little channel are ever going to see this video or, remember the channel well enough to be interested in the first place. But I'm going to be posting a little bit of new content soon. And so I just thought I'd briefly talk about why I stopped in the first place. Basically, the short answer is that I just kind of ran out of things that I wanted to say, When I started, I had a certain number of ideas for perspectives that I thought were interesting, either ideas about music generally or observations about specific artists, where I thought I had something original and distinct to say. More ideas kind of came as I went for a while. And, one day I just kind of reached the natural end of that set of ideas. So, I stopped. And there are two kinds of channels that I did see some avenue to be, but I didn't really want to be, right? And one of those is a channel with a kind of steady stream of low effort uploads on familiar topics. The kind of channel where you can see the guy leaning over to press the stop button at the end of the video because he doesn't even go to the minimal effort to cut that part out. Where every upload, every week you get every King Crimson album ranked or underrated prog albums or, some kind of idea like that, that 25 other channels have already done and magazines and blogs and whatever. And many, many people have already thought about that thing. And I mean, I understand that if you have a distinctive perspective and an interesting voice, then maybe it's worthwhile to approach well-worn topics. But I just didn't feel that motivated to do that just for the sake of getting an audience and a subscriber count so I could continue to do that, And I also found that by far the best source of new new viewers and of subscriptions was reviews of newly released albums by legacy artists. And that's probably of all the types of videos that I did, that was my least favorite thing to do, right? So the thing that was the most popular was kind of the thing I was least interested in doing. There's just something about that time crunch of, new Jethro Tull album came out today. Got to listen to it a couple times, got to try to scramble to form an opinion, got to get the video up as soon as I can, while people are kind of in that initial rush of interest, where, I don't know, I just found that to be an unrewarding experience, and often one that kind of ended up ruining my feelings about that album. And this is going to sound very whiny. I do apologize for that, but there's something about with Closure Continuation or I.O., the amount of time when I think about Closure Continuation, when I think about I.O., a big part of what I think about is people being shitty on the internet because I didn't like those albums enough, right? And, that does inevitably kind of affect the relationship I have to those pieces of music, which I might have liked more if I hadn't been in a situation where I had to say something spicy about them quickly. Which obviously some people have real problems, right? I know this is all a silly complaint, but if I didn't like that, then there was an obvious out, which was to just not do it, and that is what I chose, basically. So, and I also, honestly, maybe this will sound a little bit cynical, but I had started the channel partly with the idea that it would promote my own music, right? And it doesn't really seem like it works like that. There's not much overlap in audience between, you might get a couple thousand views for a review of a new Jethro Tull album, but very few of those people are experience has suggested to me, right, that very few of those people are then going to go, oh, I wonder what his music sounds like. It just isn't really, there's not much crossover between those things. So, part of the goal, frankly, had been to get more exposure for my own work. And it didn't really seem like the amount of effort involved in continuing to build a viewer and subscriber base was actually something that was going to steer a lot of attention toward anything I did as a musician. And again, like that's not anybody's fault, right? And I don't, I know Anthony Fantano is in a band, but I've never listened to them and I don't feel any particular motivation to, right? So, I guess when you think about it, it makes kind of logical sense. But there you go. I wasn't interested in doing the things that I would have had to do to build the channel for its own sake. I didn't really feel like it was achieving some of the purposes I'd wanted it to, and I just kind of run out of what seemed like the most interesting ideas, and the things that I did most enjoy talking about didn't really seem like they achieved a whole lot in the way of traction, right? There's kind of like a hierarchy where the part I enjoyed most was thinking the thought about music, and then the second most enjoyable part was writing the script, and then the third most enjoyable part was like shooting it, and then the fourth most enjoyable part was editing. And it was like the further that I got from just thinking about music, the less I enjoyed each step in the process. And so I just kind of thought, well, I guess there's an easy solution here, right? However, I am going to be back a little bit because I have a new album coming out. It's called Blood That Shakes the Heart. It's really cool and I'm really fond of it. I'm going to be posting a little bit of video material connected to that for the small number of people who do enjoy the music in particular. I don't know if anybody really cares that much at this point, but again, I just felt like tying up a bit of a loose end to post this. There were some folks who were very appreciative, very supportive of the channel back in the early days. I do really appreciate them. You know who you are. You do have my thanks, my eternal fondness and gratitude. And, anyone who did consistently watch or whoever said anything, smart or thoughtful or insightful about anything I posted back in 2022, 23 when I was doing this a lot. Thank you. I do appreciate it. And yeah, hope everybody has a good day.